Hello, and thank you for joining us for this presentation. My name is Joshua Karasak. I'm a winemaking specialist with Enartis USA. And in this presentation, we're going to talk about Enartis EasyTech. So what is Enartis EasyTech? EasyTech is a certified range by Enartis that includes 2 yeasts at this time and 2 nutrients that are used in a direct addition to the fermentation. So we'll first talk about our direct inoculation yeast in our EasyTech range, the QET, which is a new yeast, and our Enartis FERMENTATION, which is a yeast that we've had in our range for a while, but we have certified for EasyTech direct addition application. So when we were developing our EasyTech yeast range, we really focused on the production process of our yeast. In particular, we wanted to increase the cell membrane integrity of the yeast, ensure that it had proper sterols, fatty acids, and improve the drying quality to make the yeast appropriate for direct addition. We also increased resistance factors such as trehalose and glycogen. So really the innovation when it comes to the direct addition through EasyTech and through the EasyTech range is in the production of the yeast itself. And for this reason, we may actually increase our range for EasyTech direct addition over time. But for now, we have 2 yeasts that meet the criteria for EasyTech addition. So EasyTech yeast additions are super easy. Essentially what happens is you add the yeast sprinkled over the top of the tank or fermenter. Then what you do is you allow a period of time, usually 15 to 20 minutes, for that yeast to rehydrate. And then you homogenize by simply mixing the tank either through air mixture or through some sort of Guth mixer. Basically homogenize the tank after that point and you're good to go. That's as simple as that. Typically when we're doing a traditional rehydration, what we'll do is we will add our yeast, usually with some water between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius. We'll let it rest for 20 minutes, and then we start an acclimatization step where we add juice, stir it for 1 minute, and let it rest for another 20 minutes. Then we add our nutrients. So there's a couple of phases in order to prepare the yeast and rehydrate it and get it prepared for the actual addition to the tank. With our direct inoculation, as I mentioned, the yeast is simply sprinkled over the top of the tank. You can also sprinkle the nutrient at that time if you're using the Nutriform Ultra, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But basically, you sprinkle on top of the tank, allow it to sit for 15 to 20 minutes, and then you mix, and then you're good to go. So the first yeast I want to talk about is our Enartis Firm QET. The QET is basically stands for EasyTech. So the EasyTech yeast, this is the first one that was certified in our range. And essentially this yeast is a solid fermenter, so ferments very well, has moderate nitrogen needs, very low oxygen needs, very low volatile acidity production, low H2S production. So it's a really good fermenter. It can be used in different kinds of wines. So it can be used to make young or medium aged red wines, red or rosé wines. So it's really a very versatile yeast. And its application is really, its benefit to the winemaking process is really in its ease of use for the application of fermentation. So it's a really exciting yeast for the reason that it can be added in a direct way and is a solid fermenter as well. When we compare the EasyTech direct addition to the traditional rehydration, we typically see a slight difference in terms of the lag phase in the very beginning. So it usually starts a little bit slower, but then typically at the end of fermentation finishes at the same time. So this just highlights the performance of the direct addition compared to a rehydrated yeast. Our Enartis Firm WS is a strain that's been in our portfolio for a long time now. Winemakers really love this strain. It was isolated back in the 80s from William Sellium Winery. Typically it can be used in a restart fashion as well because it has very high alcohol tolerance. People use it in Zinfandel, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, all different kinds of red wines. Some winemakers actually use it in white wines as well. It's a really robust fermenter and it's really reliable. So winemakers really like this strain a lot. We certified WS in the EasyTech range because we found that it was actually worked very well in a direct addition from a direct addition standpoint. So the strain hasn't changed at all, but the benefit in terms of our certification of the actual yeast to be added in a direct manner has changed. So if you work with WS before and you really like this strain, just consider that it's the same strain. We're just certifying it for the direct addition application at this time. If you haven't worked with WS before, we highly recommend trying it in one of your fermentations, especially because it has this added benefit of the direct addition as well. And here we just wanted to show again the comparison between rehydrated and dry. Again, a little bit slower in the beginning, but finishing at the same time, if not faster, than its traditional rehydration sort of process. So some of the advantages to the Enartis from EasyTech are that it saves time, it keeps it simple so that training new interns is not as difficult. It reduces errors because in the rehydration process you can sometimes have issues with water temperature or with the actual addition of juice. So it really just makes the process easier, and so that's why we are recommending this new range or to try this new range. Now I want to talk about NutriFerm Ultra, which is a nutrient for a direct addition. So the importance of proper nutrition, we've emphasized this in previous webinars in our sort of nutrition program. But essentially, when you're adding nutrients to a fermentation, you're trying to get a regular and complete fermentation. You want to ensure that your selected yeast dominates the fermentation. You want to avoid any aromatic deviations that you would typically have if you don't have proper nutrition. You want to enhance the grape positive characteristics. You want to save time, energy, and labor, and just ensure the quality of the wine and fermentation itself. So in particular, if we're using a direct addition yeast like QET, we can use it in combination with our NutriFerm Ultra. So NutriFerm Ultra is a 100% autolyzed yeast. It has high concentrations of sterols, lipids, amino acids, vitamins, minerals. It has very high solubility, which means it can be used in direct addition for that reason. That high solubility also means high availability of all of those constituents that I mentioned. It's microgranulated, which means it's easy to dissolve in juice or in water, which means it can be directly added to the juice or must, or simply dissolved in juice and added over the tank and then homogenized. So the NutriFerm Ultra would be sort of similar from an aromatic standpoint as our NutriFerm Energy. If you've worked with the Energy in the past, that's a powdered form of our nutrient. The NutriFerm Energy is not going to be as soluble as the NutriFerm Ultra. So the NutriFerm Ultra is certified for our EasyTech. So what makes NutriFerm Ultra compared to other nutrients in powdered form is that, again, it's very, very soluble. And so this means that it can dissolve very easily in juice and in water. So when you make a NutriFerm Ultra addition to a juice or a must, it dissolves much easier, which makes it applicable from a direct addition standpoint. I also want to talk about NutriFerm Arom Plus. So NutriFerm Arom Plus, again, is another nutrient that's been in our range for a while. Our NutriFerm Arom Plus is EasyTech certified now. So NutriFerm Arom Plus is an inactivated yeast rich in aromatic precursors, amino acids, vitamins, minerals. It tends to increase the production of fruity esters, which means that wines that result from the addition of NutriFerm Arom Plus tend to be more estery, more fruity, and have an aromatic boost to them. This makes it very useful for neutral aromatic varieties where you're trying to get a little bit more aroma out of the fermentation. The NutriFerm Arom Plus improves fermentation kinetics. It allows for more reliable fermentations. So the benefit to the NutriFerm Arom Plus is really a boost of aroma. And if you've worked with this product in the past, the product has not changed at all. We are simply certifying it for the EasyTech application or the direct application to the fermentation. So if you worked with this nutrient, it's not going to change. If you haven't worked with it before, we do recommend it as a direct addition. Just some conclusions about our EasyTech. EasyTech is a direct addition range by Enartis. This range is currently comprised of 2 yeast, the Enartis Firm QET and the Enartis Firm WS. There's also 2 nutrients that are part of this range, the NutriFirm Ultra and the NutriFirm Arom Plus. Keep your eyes out for even more EasyTech fermentation adjuncts in the future. So we will be increasing this range over time. But for now, we've added this range to make winemaking a little bit easier for winemakers, and we hope that this makes your 2020 vintage that much easier. Thank you so much for joining this presentation, and we hope that you have a successful Harvest 2021.